Arab world has historically been an enduring part of the global political, social, economical, and strategic imaginations. It has gradually evolved to be the focal point of international politics. I think one way of acquainting ourselves with the past of the Arab world, comprehend the current politics, and understand the future would be to pore over the book Arab World in Transition, The Quest for a New Regional Order by Macmillan Education India and ICWA. To address our few queries and questions, we have the author himself, Dr. Siddiqui. Hello, sir. It's a pleasure to host this in person and not virtually.
Same here.
Okay, so I have a few questions. I'd like to start with the beginning. How is it that, how did you come up with the title exactly? Was it an overnight thought, or did you like slept over it and researched about it? What exactly was the idea?
Over the last 1 decade, what I've been witnessing in the Arab world, everything was in transition.
Yeah.
From politics to religion, to geopolitics, to strategy, to global involvement, sectarian politics, ideology, the politics of alliances, economic relationship, state-people relationship. Everything was in completely fluid, complete transition.
Yeah.
What was happening, basically Arab world was trying to redefine itself, reorient itself,
Yeah.
and give it different matches to the whole world. And they are not only this, they were trying to basically establish a new notion and dismantle the old notion. So that is how I came up with the title Arab World in Transition.
Transition.
That is what the basic
Yeah.
understanding, and that title has come up after my almost 5 years of intense engagement with the region.
Oh, that's
and that's what I have been witnessing, what I have been experiencing, and what I had been noticing that. I thought this would be the best title because every part, every element and every aspect of polity is in complete constant transition.
Yeah.
That is how I named Arab World in Transition.
Transition and the quest for
New
the
regional order.
new
When
regional
you are
order.
when you are transiting from one phase to other phase, you imagine something, you try to capture something, and you try to basically achieve something.
There's a goal.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
When you transit, when you move somewhere, you move with a certain objective, with certain aims. What these powerful countries, majority of the countries, for example, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran. When I was doing this research, what I find is when the country and the nation and the entire region were transiting one phase to other, they have certain objective. And objective was how to basically exploit the situation.
Okay.
And when they were race against each other, and they were major 4 countries, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt.
Okay.
They were trying to carve out a region which could fulfill their strategic ambition, which could fulfill their economic objective, which could fulfill their ideological aspiration. So there was a constant quest, and each country was racing against each other. Each country was competing against each other.
Yeah.
And here I think these competition were also responsible to the situation, to the turmoil, what we have been witnessing today. That is how I have divided my study in 2 parts. First, transition, and the second, the quest.
Okay. That's great. I think it really emphasizes on what really is the essence of the book, and it completely conveys that aspect. My second question would be that, as it is mentioned, I think in the preliminary pages of the book, that apart from being selected as a research scholar at the Indian Council of World Affairs, would you attribute internet as a catalyst that helped you address your rigorous infatuation with the new Arabs?
Of course. There are 2 or 3 things. First, I was not new to the Arab world.
Okay.
I wrote my thesis in the Arab
You
world.
were familiar.
But the only difference is that internet made. What was happening in the Arab world, I wanted to have a direct access to the ground reality, what is happening on the ground.
Okay.
Because it was a moment, it was a revolution, it was a turmoil that was impacting every part of our world, every individual of the Arab world, and even it was trying to change the political psyche of the entire region. In that way, I think how internet and social media helped me to have a direct access. What is happening in the morning, I was able to get the entire picture within 2 hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
In that way, internet helped. And basically, I knew the Arabic language. If I'm sitting here 5,000 away from the region, and I have the knowledge of the language, and the same thing is same content and the same voices emerging from the indigenous people, they are directly coming to me. That would, of course, help me to have an opinion which is very much the part of their psyche, how they are thinking. So just what I was doing through this media, Arab media basically, I was trying to get the access, then analyze the thing, and then to differentiate what the West is telling, what the Arab world is telling, and just to differentiate these two different opinions, and then my knowledge is helping me to have hit the direct political psyche of the people, those revolutionaries, and those that are aspiring to create a new Arab world. In that way, my knowledge of Arabic and my access to internet sources, these two things came together, and that enriched my understanding the Arab world in a much broader way, in a much bigger way, and a much more comprehensive manner.
Okay, so the access to internet basically made it possible for you to understand what was happening there
On
in the
the
region.
street, on the Arabic street.
Yeah, Arabic street, that is. Yeah, what every individual was going through and how it really came out.
I was trying to get their own expression.
Yeah.
What are their expression?
The bare reality,
yes, what were
basically.
their grievances,
Yeah.
and how they are seeing the things transiting from one phase to other.
Yeah, okay.
Here came the knowledge of Arabic language.
And of course, the access to internet.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about the audience, what is it that you seek from your readers? Perhaps do you have any expectations from the book?
See, whenever any author writes a book, he knows what is his market, what is his audience,
it's well researched,
and what is his reader, basically. So basically, my audience, my target is researcher, students who are pursuing their career in international politics, journalists who are looking after the Arab world, member of the strategic community, foreign policy, people sitting in MEA, member of the strategic community, and moreover, those people who are trying to have a diversified kind of knowledge. Those want to basically know what is the reality that has taking place on the Arab world, on the streets of the world, and how they are going to determine the future.
Yeah.
So my basic target 5 to 6 sections of society: strategic community, journalists, student, people sitting in the policy making, and moreover, the member of the strategic community. Those are my targets, basically.
Okay, and so this will basically enrich them with a thorough understanding of how the past of the Arab world is leading to its present, and they will be left with
my target. I have discussed in the book 3 major aspects.
Okay.
What the Arab world has been, and what is happening, and what might happen in the near future.
Yeah.
So this is the basic 3 component of my book.
How it really
past,
flows.
Present, and future. How past has been, and how the past is affecting the present, and how the present might determine the trajectory of the future. The future trajectory.
How will it unfold the future, basically? Okay. In the preface of the book, you've mentioned that you faced a lot of challenges while finalizing the latter part of the book. What is it that kept you going?
See, basically, personally, when the whole world was basically trapped in COVID-19, and that was the month I think I was engaged in dealing with the final part of my book. That is, I think, in April.
Okay.
Yes. People were dying in my family.
Yeah, the second wave, it was huge.
I lost many members in my family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I thought I am not the only one who being affected.
Yeah.
Things come and go. But this book, if I was able to do it, I'm going to serve the 2 purposes. First, I'm going to overcome my emotional plight. And second, I'm going to fulfill my objective. And that was the time when the Arab world basically is in the top of the turmoil, basically. So that was the best time. Because what happens, the book on international politics has a very short shelf life.
Okay.
This has been the basic lacuna of international politics. Any book on international politics. The world is changing so fast. I thought if I take 2 or 3 years, whatever I written,
it might lose the relevance.
Yes, whatever I written in the rest of the pages, that will lose the relevance.
Okay.
So that basically kept me going, basically.
Okay. Yeah, because you have to reflect.
Nature of the book was such that if I sit for 3 months, the entire book, the purpose of the whole book will be completely collapsed. Okay. That kept me going. That kept me haunting, basically. You have to finish it. Otherwise, your whole project that you have been doing for the last 5-6 years, it will lose all its meaning.
Yeah, because you have to reflect what is going on in the present.
And particularly in the context when the world is changing very fast.
Very fast, yeah. Okay. So
in the morning you read something else, in the evening you read something else. So making prediction is also very difficult in today's international politics.
Because by the time you make a prediction, things will change.
Yes, that book is, as I told you, 1/3 of the book is based upon the projection and the scenario building.
Yeah.
If I fail to put the thing at the right time, I think my entire
purpose would be
completely.
Okay, yeah. So, but it is also sad that so many people, including you, who've lost so many people, family members,
still,
and amid that there is work. That has to be done.
Of course, any project is time bound.
Yeah.
Of course, you have many people have different problem, different crisis, different predicament and plight. But of course, this is also a part of life.
You grow
So,
and then
yes,
you
yes.
move on. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's nice. Okay, so moving on to my next question, that is, this will be from the book, that the fact that the new Arabs have deserted the pride and nostalgia of the past and appear to have lost all its appetite for an overstated Arab and overstretched ideological polity, as sketched in the readings of the Orientalist accounts. Having said that, we've also been taught that change is the only constant in the world. But was it really easy to embrace that change?
No, in the early days of revolution, I think, the word that has been quite constant for the last 7, 8 decades, any change coming, I think people thought that will change their life, that will change their politics, this will change their economics.
Yeah.
So people were quite enthusiastic. People were quite emotional to embrace anything that is coming in the name of something new.
Yeah.
But I see in the first 2 or 3 years, people were having a kind of enthusiasm that has never been witnessed in the part of our world. But as the situation moving from sliding towards anarchy, sliding towards instability,
Yeah.
and sliding towards chaos, the same people who had a different kind of imagination, the same people who had dreamed of a new Arab world, they thought, oh my God,
What has
we
happened?
choose the wrong path.
Yeah.
The Arab world would have been much better without a revolution. Arab world would have been much better in the status quo politics of the past. Arab world would have been much better if the guy who has immolated himself, he has not done this. Even people went to the extent of telling and expressing the fact that the guy was a curse. The same guy was a hero with the image of the hero on the street of Tunisia.
When at the onset.
Yes,
Yeah.
people started, lamenting the fact why they came on the street.
Yeah.
The first 2 years of the revolution was quite positive, was quite optimistic.
Yeah.
But as the situation moved on, as the year passed by, people started losing faith in the entire revolution, in the philosophy of the revolution. People started losing faith in their leadership. People started losing faith in their ideology. People started losing faith in the dream and the objective and the mission for which they had come on the street.
Yeah.
So that in the last, I think, first 2 years, you see people enthusiasm, and rest of the years in the last decade was full of hopelessness, full of pessimism.
People's hopes were shattered.
Completely shattered. And that happened because of, this entire revolution had no open objective.
Okay.
They had no blueprint.
Yeah.
They had no leader. They had no idea
certain
where
sense of direction.
yes,
That, yeah.
and where this evolution might lead to.
Yeah.
So I think the lack of understanding, lack of basic vision for the society, the lack of vision for the politics, and that has happened because people were completely unaware in the Arab what politics is all about.
Yeah.
The way they have been completely depoliticized, the way they have been completely desensitized about what is happening.
Yeah, they were caught off guard, basically,
Completely.
if I could say.
And
Yeah.
they were caught up in the early days, but now they're very hurry to achieve something, to grab
To
something.
grab something.
But they had no means, they had no mechanism,
Yeah.
that they had no proper
A
structure
well
to
thought
basically
process was not there. Yeah.
how to grab it,
Yeah.
how to reach their goal.
So that was missing.
Yes.
But when you say that people's hopes were dashed and they saw the reality sliding for the worst, when you say that, do you think the people have healed yet, or how much time?
No, people are
have not
yet. No, there are two things. First, people thought that now the opportunity has come, so we have to grab it. Now they had a very high ambition. Once you fail to achieve the ambition, you have different kind of sorrow.
Yeah.
Of course, you can accommodate, you can adjust a certain level, but things are sliding towards worse.
Worse.
Then it comes with a double plight.
Yeah. Okay.
Today, if things are status quo, situation is same, then we can plight, we can cry, and we can lament our past.
Yeah.
But at a point has come in the Arab world when people had imagined that something new is coming.
Yeah.
The new did not come. Even the past has gone from their hand.
Yeah.
They lost the past.
So
They
somewhere
lost
in the
the
middle
future.
of
They lost the future.
Yeah.
Everything was messed up.
Yeah.
What we have been witnessing today is the story of chaos,
Yeah.
anarchy, bloodshed, violence, and the large scale divisive society. That is what they have seen.
Okay.
And that is what they have received at the
They've
end
been
of the
through
day.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So they will probably not heal for a long time. Probably
People have no choice. You
Yeah,
have to.
they
One
have
day
to
you have
move
to
on.
basically compromise.
Yeah.
You have to move on. But it is for others to say now the people have healed. But if you to ask them, really have you healed? The people say, no,
you don't
we
ask
have
that,
no
but
option.
yeah.
Sitting so far away and writing about them and expressing your views is a very easy thing.
Yeah.
But if you go and engage with them, engage with their sorrow and pain, then you realize the people aren't healing. But if people are silent, if people have basically adjusted themselves to a certain situation, it doesn't mean that they are healed. I think they have healed their wound basically.
Yeah.
Wounds
But
remain
that
for
is probably
them.
their coping mechanism.
It's a coping
Yeah.
mechanism, but life goes on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we can forget their pain and sorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
They carry with their wounds. They
Yeah,
go
whereas
away. They
then-
go
then-
along
yeah.
with their wounds. But wounds never last so easily. It never goes so easily.
They don't go, but
Yeah.
okay. So further to that conversation, the emergence of the new Arab world is inevitable. Would you care to elaborate a little on that?
See, when I say new Arab world is inevitable, there are 5 or 6 things that really Arab world cannot be portrayed completely in negative terms. Sorry, Arab turmoil. It cannot be portrayed negatively.
Yeah.
It has achieved something. It has given something to the people. Now we'll come to what it has given. It has given power to the people. Now, for the first time in the history of world, in the modern history, people have realized that they can do.
The
They
realization.
can challenge the regime.
Yeah.
They can combat the miscreant on the street. They can stand to the police forces. They can stand to the brutality of the police forces. They have known that the internal strength, that is the basic contribution of the revolution. They can now.
They can.
Second thing, now they have a kind of confidence that regime are nothing. If really people get power, if people get emboldened, and people think that they can stand united, these regimes are nothing but a very, very weak entity. Second thing. Third thing, they have realized that politics is a very interesting business. They have seen for the first time how to vote.
Yeah.
They have seen for the first time how to be in a long queue to elect your leader.
Yeah.
They have seen for the first time how millions on the street.
And the
They have
taste of
seen-
democracy.
Yes, they have
yeah.
seen for the first time how people from different strata of society, from different ideology, from different, lineage, political lineage,
Political
they come united. Can you imagine in a street of Cairo, 10 million people for 18 days constantly? The Arab world would have never imagined that this sight would appear in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So these are the basic achievements. And the last but not the least, people have realization anytime we can call the street, and that realization is very much striking to the regime. If the moment they cross the limit, if the moment they go for something which has been completely anti-people, the regime has realized the strength and the power of the people. These 5 out of 6 have been the major achievement of the Arab turmoil, but still how long it will keep active, how long it will remain alive, that needs to be seen. But now the Arabs on their street are fearless people. That has been the basic and one of the major achievement of the turmoil.
Remarkable,
People
yeah.
are fearless now.
Okay.
Earlier they were thrown to jail,
Yeah.
but now if they're thrown to jail, they are resisting the police forces.
Okay. So it's like when you fail, you don't just fail, but you learn.
But
You
of
gain
course,
experience.
any-
You know what you can do.
Yes,
basically.
any changes, even in the worst of the situation, it gives you something.
It gives you some. You take something.
And in case of our word, it is a boldness, it is a sense of
fearlessness.
empowerment, it is the internal strength that has been the major takeaway for this youth, for the oldish people, and for the generation who are still eyeing, who are still imagining that something is in offering, and we can still have.
We can
another-
achieve it, yeah. But with a well thought process and understanding of the structure,
Of course,
as you said, the limitations
they will
can
have to
discuss.
rethink.
Yeah.
But at least they have the realization
That they can do.
we have achieved something. We can.
Yeah.
That has been the basic
Basic
takeaway for
in-
this.
okay. Yeah, that's good. So, what are the challenges that you faced as a researcher while collecting and collating the information?
See, one thing in today's world, the worst thing that can happen to someone is the excess of information.
Okay.
The collection of information and the knowledge,
Hmm.
it is the easiest thing.
Yeah.
You are flooded with information, and that is a kind of negative point for you. Today, what is happening, we are flooded with so much information that it has become quite difficult for you to differentiate what is information,
Yeah.
what is knowledge, what is analysis, and what is propaganda.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Makes sense.
everyone is informed today, from a rickshaw puller to a scholar sitting in the university. But your task, being a scholar researcher, is to differentiate and to analyze and to give your own perspective.
Yeah.
The information that is coming to us, is it informed by reality? It is informed by a sense of propaganda. It is informed by a sense of demonizing somebody.
Okay.
So what, in my case, while I was doing the book, I had a lot of information. I know English, I know Urdu,
You know
I know Arabic,
yeah.
I know a little bit of Persian.
Yeah.
When the information is coming from different sources, my task was first to differentiate what is information, what is knowledge, what is nonsense, what is propaganda. Then, as my own understanding of the Arab world, who has the historical perspective, who has at least spent a decade in reading, researching, understanding the word, I have to analyze the thing in a certain perspective.
You have to decipher
Yes.
it. Yeah.
First to differentiate
Yeah.
agenda and the reality and the
Reality.
knowledge and the information. Then I have to analyze with a certain perspective. If something has happened, you know, international politics, what happens? You have to basically join the dot.
Okay.
If something is happening in Ukraine, if something is happening in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, so then everything is quite interlinked. Being a scholar, what is my duty or someone's duty is to join the dot.
To join the dots.
Then you reach to a certain conclusion. While doing the book, information was not a problem.
It was there, plenty of it.
The real problem was that what is the true information?
What to choose.
Yes. And the second one, how to analyze.
Okay.
If my analysis is really in the historical perspective that I have been able to achieve for years, and they put the thing in a certain perspective, and the most important thing that I face, how to remain unbiased.
Unbiased. Okay. Yeah.
If you're dealing with a part of a bird that is completely divided, for example, I have written somewhere that in the preface, well, Syria,
Yeah, you
5
mentioned
lakh
it.
people
Yeah.
were killed. I think the very first, second page I written, my purpose is not to target anybody.
Yeah.
My
Not to
purpose is
influence
not to
anybody.
demonize anybody
Yeah.
and not to criticize. But being a human being, I cannot remain neutral because 5 lakh people have been killed. The responsibility has to be fixed somewhere. Despite all my effort, despite all my pursuit of neutrality, I have to fix the blame also.
Yeah.
Though I claim to be neutral.
But at least address it.
But it is very
Yeah.
difficult to say. I'm openly seeing the hand of Saudi Arabia. I'm seeing the hand of Iran. I'm seeing the hand of Turkey. I'm seeing the hand of Russia. I'm seeing the hand of United States. But despite all my efforts to remain neutral, to give my own picture of what is happening, but yet a human being who is quite sensitive, it also becomes a very challenging task to remain neutral after a certain point of time. So I have to put the blame. So here I wrote my preface, you know, I'm not blaming Iran, I'm not blaming Saudi Arabia, but I'm seeing their hand there.
Yeah. But you're looking at, yeah.
Yes, I'm looking at things that they are there. But you know, when you're a member of a strategic committee, you're writing something for the larger audience, then you have to be neutral. But it is very, very difficult thing.
So you have to maintain the
Yes,
thin
thin
boundary.
line,
You have
yes,
to
thin
respect
boundary.
it. Yeah.
And I have tried, but I think somewhere I had also tried to project a reality because
Yeah.
after all,
That's
I claim to be an
yeah,
honest
researcher.
researcher.
That's one fundamental
Yes, yes.
responsibility.
Despite all the constraint,
Yeah.
you cannot remain neutral for all the time. basically.
All the time. But you can't put your prejudices in the book.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can, but you know, when things are looking quite obvious,
Yeah. So then
I can't be
close
blind.
my eyes.
I can't be
Yeah.
blind to
Yeah.
what's happening. If I see the full, the Saudis hand aren't there,
Yeah.
Iranians are involved there. They are instigating the crime. They are instigating the violence. Then I cannot remain silent.
Yeah.
But you know, when I have to see also my audience, if I'm condemning Iran, if the book goes in the hand of Iranian embassy, what will they say? Oh my God, this man is completely anti-Iran. If I'm believing Saudi Arabia, if some people in Saudi embassy here get the hold of the book, if they read, oh my God, this man is anti-Saudi. So you have to keep all these things in your mind
yeah,
while doing
the implications.
book. Yes,
Yeah.
you have to survive in this world also.
Yeah.
And while you're doing a book on geopolitics and strategy, it is not something which you call writing mathematics and physics. These are the book on ideas.
So many aspects you have to
these are the book
consider.
on ideas.
Yeah.
What is happening around the world
Yeah.
when various actors are involved. So then you have to take all these things into consideration.
And do you think, had you been able to visit the region, the outcomes would have been different?
Of course. You know what happened while I was doing my last book with Sage? I visited Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco. You know, reading something, if somebody is writing, sitting in Cairo and Tunisia, and of course you are going and engaging directly with the people, you have a different kind of insight. The only thing that this time I was deprived of while doing the second book, my inability to visit the region. And that
Yeah.
was because of the COVID-19.
COVID-19, yeah.
The travel ban. But if I had visited this time, the book and the outcome of the book would have been slightly different. Because I would have been able to pose question directly to those people who have been affected. To directly pose question to those people who have been in the part of their those
You would have captured
ambition,
where they are coming
yes,
from. Yeah.
the part of the ambition, the dreams, and the aspiration they had imagined for themselves.
Yeah.
I think those points, of course, were missing in this book. But I think still I have been able to gain and collect the opinion. But meeting people directly, engaging with them, seeking their opinion, and actually contesting their views, again helps you in enriching your views.
So you gain some teachings from every experience.
Yes,
Yeah, definitely.
When you're doing book, you're supposed to be quite serious.
Yeah.
You
So the approach is different.
Yes,
yeah.
you cannot do a book just you felt like doing a book and you
did
do
it.
the book.
Yeah. That's
The field trip is a very much important part
It's
of
a part of,
any research project. But man proposes, God disposes. So
Yeah,
that is how.
So in the book, you've mentioned certain deep-rooted Orientalist notions about the Arabs. What are these notions, and how have they affected, for an outsider's, view of the Arab geopolitics?
See, what happens in the case of Arab world, there have been various notions about Arab politics, about Arab culture, about Arab religion. During this evolution, what has happened, this notion has been completely dismantled. For example, Arab world cannot do politics. They don't know what is politics. They don't know how to represent themselves. They don't know how to elect their rulers. Their politics is always informed by their religion. And their religion, Islam, has no compatibility with the democracy. These have been the notion that has been inculcated for decade and decade, basically.
Democracy and Islam cannot coexist.
Yeah. There are various other things. For example, Karl Marx has said long back that Muslims cannot represent themselves, so they must be represented.
Okay.
They cannot have a peaceful polity. They do not believe in transfer of power. These are the Orientalist notion that is being today projected in the form of media. What we had earlier in the form of Orientalism, that is today reflected in our day-to-day media. So what the Arab turmoil has done, they have demolished all these established notions. People went for democracy. People went for protests. People went for electing their leaders. People went for the consultative politics. And people went for protests. People knew what politics was all about.
People knew democracy?
Yes, people knew what democracy was all about. I will cite you an example. When the first election was taking place in Egypt, a 80 years old lady was in a queue. A reporter came and asked her, "Are you going to vote?" Do you know what she said? "I'm going to vote for the first time because I have no idea about the result."
No idea about the
result.
Okay.
It tells a lot about the political culture of the region, because all the previous election, people knew the result.
Okay.
But this time, she expected some kind of honesty.
Yeah.
So she believed in political honesty. She believed in a system which would really elect a leader who would be people's choice.
A fair election.
Yes, who would be people's choice. Yeah. He or she would not be the army choice. He or she would not be the choice of the oligarch.
Yeah.
So these are the things which even people have, in today's where the communication is high, people at every minute people know what is happening in Atlanta.
Yeah, through social media, news and
yes.
everything. Yeah, it's become...
So, it shapes, it determines your mindset.
Yeah.
And so these things have been at play for the last 2 decades in the Arab world. So these notions have been completely dismantled, basically. Now even the world has seen how people were in the street, how people were in the street to elect their leaders, how women were the part of participation.
Yeah.
Even it has been completely, what to say, a propaganda. Arab women do not participate in politics. You would not believe many of the Islamist parties in Egypt and Tunisia, 50% of their membership is dominated by women. It must have been a surprise for many, but for them it's quite common. Even the first Islamist government in Tunisia, they had 8 to 10 Muslim ministers. So these were the notions I have mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
These were the notions that have been completely
preconceived,
portrayed as the truth, as the wisdom, that Arabs have been like that. Now the same wisdom that has been propagated by Orientalists, now today is being propagated by the media in a more aggressive form, in a more vocal shape, and a more, very, very volatile way. I would say in a violent manner. The idea that Orientalists has written 200 years ago, again they are trying
that
to
is still
create.
in play and
Yes,
people are
yes.
using it.
Yes, using it, and every day in days of Orientalism, I think, though access to knowledge was very limited, but now that knowledge has expanded to everywhere. Everybody is in one way or other way knowledgeable. Again, I would say that now the task is to differentiate what is propaganda and what is knowledge, and what is information and what is wisdom. That is a real challenge for the scholars. Collection information and access information is not a challenge at all. The access to information is also a challenge in a way. For single happening, you have 300 to 500 views. So that is a challenge for you. How will you delineate? How will you differentiate? Either it has been done with certain mindset, it is being done with to propagate certain particular idea. So that is to reach to the real truth is the biggest challenge.
That has been really insightful for me, to be honest. Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful insights. I hope this reaches to more and more people, and more people are aware of what the plight of Arab world was, is, and will be.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, sir. This was a wonderful experience.